Hey guys, a few days ago I put out my latest movie, Anyone Else But Me, and it's been so great to see people enjoy it. Reading the comments is always a delight. And Blake Rozier, who's the star of the movie, just put out a really fun behind the scenes video. He was filming while we shot the movie. So check that out. It's a really goofy, funny behind the scenes video that might give you a kind of a inside look at how just goofy and lighthearted sets of my movies typically are. But yeah, I hope you enjoy that video. I'll link it in the description. But today I want to do a budget breakdown showing you how much this movie cost to make. The first expense I broke down is the equipment. I always say you should buy equipment. I discourage filmmakers who maybe don't have much money or who are working on a limited budget from renting high-grade stuff. I think you are way better off permanently owning consumer-grade stuff than blowing money, throwing it into a fire, renting really nice stuff. Because all this stuff that I bought is now part of my arsenal, and I could use it to make all the movies this year, you know? So one thing I bought was a new CFast memory card. I knew I was going to be shooting in the desert for a couple days and I wouldn't really be able to dump the footage. So I could have brought my laptop, but I didn't want to kill time. So I got a nice big CFast card for my camera that now I could use to film for long days. Next, 50mm lens. For the last 4 years or 5 years, I have shot everything on the same two lenses. I have a prime 35 and a prime 14mm lens for my Blackmagic 4K camera. And I finally broke down for this movie and I got a 50mm lens. I thought it would capture the more dramatic close-ups really well. I thought it'd be fun to toy around with new compositions because I've been composing with these lenses forever. Something just a little tighter with a narrower depth of field would be interesting. And I'm really glad I did because so many of my favorite shots from the movie use this lens. And up next, batteries. I have like 40 batteries for this camera, but they always lose their charge eventually. And just so they were reliable, I always like to buy a few more. So I bought 4 that came with new chargers. That was $70. Lens kit. I am notoriously bad about taking good care of my lenses. So I got a little kit just to clean the sensor and clean the lens. And there's still some shots in this movie that the lens has noticeable smudges. It is what it is. It doesn't bother me too much. But I was trying a little better to take care, especially now that I have the new 50mm. And lastly, I got more Rode mics. It's the Wireless Pro 2s. I'll just grab this and show you. I strongly recommend these. These are so useful for an indie filmmaker. They're so compact. They record right onto here. I'm wearing one now. You don't really have to worry about monitoring sound. They have pretty decent like limiting built into them. Yeah, they were great. And the best way to avoid having to have a sound guy for your shoots is wireless lavs and just a little bit of trust that they're gonna work. I think one downside to using all lavs is inevitably there's going to be some echo in scenes where people are talking over each other or yelling or same time, you know, it's hard to cut the mic, you know, properly without it sounding janky. So sometimes you just have to accept that the voice is going to be picked up twice and you're going to kind of hear that resonance. But beyond that, they're so useful. I don't have to worry about audio at all. Between shots, I just make sure everything's still recording and I just keep going. So I got a new set of these because I knew there'd be scenes with 3 people, 4 people, enough people to be mic'd up at once that I would like to have more than just 2 of them. So in total, I spent $830 on equipment in this movie, which I think is not that much at all. And like I said, now I have all of this to shoot the other movies. Next up, props. This is stuff that was essential to telling the story. Firstly, I got 2 ski masks on Amazon that Chad and Sven wear in the movie, and that was $15. I got makeup for black eye makeup. They sell specifically black eye bruise makeup, which is really useful. And that was $14 for 2 of the kits. And super easy to use. It was fun to apply. Chad would usually do it himself, or Italia would help him. At Home Depot, I got some rope, and I got something else. Oh, an extension cord for the van scenes, the kidnapping scenes. I feel like buying rope, you always feel a little suspicious just buying 5 feet of just classic looking rope. But it was good to use. And metal detector, for Trent's character, he was a metal detector. I thought that was the best way in the story to have a man so far out in the desert. Just a strange man who goes on these long walks away from his wife, and he's got a metal detector. And I got a relatively cheap one, $88. They had cheaper ones on Amazon that it seemed a little like a kid's metal detector, so I just went for like a mid-range one so it would seem believable. At Goodwill, I went to Goodwill 3 times throughout the movie, and this was just to get props. I got like Sven's hoodie. I got Jim's outfit that got a bunch of blood on it in the short film, and stuff like that. So and Francesca's outfit that got a bunch of paint on it in the short film that's in the movie. So yeah, Goodwill's a great place to find good costumes, stuff that you could just kind of get dirty and not worry about it. And then art supplies, the paints and the drawing pad, which I think is this one. I think, is this the same one? Maybe it isn't. Maybe I got a different, but yeah, $20, totaling $274 in props. Once again, not that big of a number. And food, some of these were estimates, but it just turned out to round out to $420, which is, you know, it is what it is. But this is just random expenses throughout filming. On the particularly long days, I'd either cook for everyone, or we'd go out to eat, or I ordered pizza. And you know, I'd always make sure to have a bunch of sparkling water and water on hand, just if people needed water. And yeah, I think if you're asking somebody to film all day, it's nice to provide food. If it's just a couple hours or something, I think it's like up to you if they're comfortable with it. But yeah, if it's a full day, I like to provide food. So I got pizza and did some cooking. Totaled $420. Travel, this is just some basic travel expenses for other people. Uber was $70. I covered some Ubers for people, and that was $70 total. And then this was the biggest emergency expense of the movie. I got a plane ticket for Blake because he was in Seattle the day before we were filming all the theater scenes, and I already had everyone all set and ready to go for those scenes. And then a storm got his plane canceled because he was flying out of a smaller airport. So then I was like, I'll cover a plane ticket if you get back, because the last thing I wanted to do was reschedule with the location and everyone. I'm like, get back here, we gotta film this stuff. So last minute emergency plane ticket from Seattle, ran $440 for $510 total. And then music, Kevin Sloan made an original score, and he absolutely crushed it. He got a new single out the other week. That's awesome. I've listened to it like 100 times. It's called Earth Animal, and he's got a new single coming out soon. And ultimately, I think in April his album drops. He's making some really crazy stuff right now. And some of the soundtrack is actually instrumental versions of his album. Just a few songs, like the ending song, the credits song, are pulled from his album. So look forward to that. Make sure to support him. And then the most expensive part of the movie is the locations. The first one, I knew I wanted to go out to the desert and shoot, which meant I had to drive out and get a place for me and all the people who are needed in that storyline to stay. So I luckily found a really strange Airbnb. It's where Molly and Trent, they live in the movie. And it's this strange hot pink cheetah couch place that you see in the movie. So that's where we were actually staying while we were filming. So it was 2 birds with 1 stone. We got a set for the movie and a place to stay while we were filming in the desert. So I got that for 2 nights, or yeah, I think 2 nights, and that was $590. They always charge crazy cleaning fees and stuff on Airbnb. And then National Park, that was $30 a vehicle just to go into Joshua Tree National Park. And then gas to get from 2 vehicles to LA, from LA to Joshua Tree and back was a solid $160, which, not that bad. Gas is crazy right now, and driving a big old van and big old truck is inevitably gonna guzzle a little bit. But and then the diner for the opening of the movie, that was a strange location. It was a set, actually. It was like an apartment built into a diner on like the 8th floor of this building, and it worked great. It was awesome. I shot it very selectively because in some ways it looked kind of like a set at certain angles, so I just wanted to show the essential parts. But it was on Peerspace. I strongly recommend Peerspace if you're looking to find a cool spot to film at, especially in bigger cities. I feel like if you're in a small town, you could like make connections and know people and just film at local businesses, local stuff. I've done that in my early movies. But if you're in a more popular city, I feel like Peerspace is great. In like Los Angeles, you could get some good locations for relatively cheap. I only booked it for 2 hours to shoot that scene. So it was still $322. And then the bar was this crazy location that had a bunch of different rooms. It was a bar, restaurant, and dance floor. And I just got all those scenes shot there in like 4 hours, I think I had it. And that was $444. That totals $1,576 for locations. It was definitely a movie that I wanted to have a lot of distinct, cool locations. I didn't want it to feel like it was just shot in our apartments and our places. I wanted to avoid these things that I've shown so many times in my films in the past. I wanted to have new things for people to see that feel unique to this movie. So it was fun to film all these places. And that brings the grand total of the movie to $4,010, which I thought I spent way more. I was like feeling like I was being kind of frivolous with the money. I was like, okay, just spend what you need, spend what you need. You'll figure how much I thought I spent like $8,000. And then I saw that it was $4,000. I was like, oh, well, thank God. Like that's great. So $4,000 for a movie is crazy cheap. And it's only like 2.5 times more than the Caleb movie, which was super scrappy. And I feel like this one has a much more presented cinematic look to it. So I feel like most people would assume it cost a lot more than this, but it didn't. And that's the movie, and thank you so much for watching. One last thing I want to address is on the Caleb movie, I got a lot of comments that are like, oh, why didn't you pay your friends? You should have paid your friends. And I think it's hard to explain to people who have grown their whole lives experiencing movies as products they're sold. But the films we make, whether it be the shorts we've made over the years, are so collaborative, and we're always like acting in each other's stuff and making stuff together and being available for each other's stuff, and it's not really that dynamic, nor do I think me or anyone has the money to do that. I think it makes the process way more creative and fulfilling if we're just doing it for the love of it, because these movies, let me make one thing clear, they're not gonna make money. These movies I'm turning mid-roll ads off on all of them, and for that reason they are making zilch on YouTube. I don't want people to be interrupted by ads while they watch these movies. That's the worst way to watch a movie. And I could even turn ads off, but YouTube puts ads on stuff anyways, even if you turn them off these days. So I'm like, might as well just keep the ads on at the start. But yeah, they're not gonna make much. I think the Caleb movie made like $300 on YouTube, and I don't think it's gonna go much higher. And I feel like all these movies are gonna make around that point. So this is a net loss project. It's a passion project through and through. All the money is gonna go directly into the movies. I'm not paying myself or compensating myself at all from the Patreon. And I just wanna make sure that this lasts me the whole year, because I have a lot of projects to make. Some of them I want to go travel and create with people. Some of them people are going to have to take multiple weeks off work. I want to be able to compensate them for all that lost time. And there's things like that that I'm just holding out to see how much of this budget I need to save. I don't want to speak too soon, but if the end of the year comes and I have not spent it all, it'll all go to collaborators that's the ultimate goal. But for now, I just want to save it for the essential production costs, so then I could make sense of it at the end of the year. But yeah, I think we have a strange conception of movies because they have all been sold to us and they've all been projects for fun, whereas I think filmmaking needs its music jam sessions. It needs the things where people just get together and gel and create. And even the most famous cheap movies like Clerks was made for $10,000. El Mariachi was made for $600, he said, but then the film processing costs $6,000. And these are like indie darlings from the past, but ultimately those movies got bought up by companies and distributors, and Clerks had hundreds of thousands thrown into marketing. El Mariachi, I think, had $1 million thrown into post-production and marketing. And ultimately, these movies are not going to get that because I'm retaining my ownership of them. I'm not going to sell them. I'm not going to use them to make a bunch of money. I want to be the sole owner of the art that I make, and I want to be the sole controller of it. Maybe a day will come where I get some company that wants to, no strings attached, make a physical release of my movie or something. Maybe that day will come. But so far, I just want to own them myself. And I hope this makes sense to you. It's hard to say without sounding a little like dancing around the question. So I just want to come out and be blatantly honest with you guys. I'm figuring this out one day at a time. I'm making like $9,000 a month on Patreon so far, the first 2 months, which is amazing and so gracious of you guys. But any day now, next month it could drop thousands, and I just want to make sure I'm not left with $0 at the end of the year, because I'm not going to have any income this year, and I'm just trying to take this 1 month at a time. But I hope that makes sense. And thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this was an interesting video, and I'm glad people are enjoying the movie once again. I'm so thankful for all my super creative, awesome friends who came together to just make an awesome project. And thank you guys. I love you guys. Have a great day. I love movies too, by the way.